Welcome to our channel. Oscar Feldman, the fictitious painter at the heart of Kate Christensen's mischievous new novel, was given a lot of latitude during his lifetime. He had a big reputation, 2 parallel families, and a career based on appreciating female nudes. Now he is gone, and this book, which begins with his obituary in 2001, is about the reassessments that take place after his death. It turns out that Oscar left behind a whole slew of women who would like to re-evaluate him. Oscar was the furthest thing from a genius I ever knew, says Teddy St. Cloud, the self-described bad shiksa mistress with the perfect daughters, who remained hidden from Abigail Feldman, Oscar's wealthy, indulgent wife. He was a very good painter with a shtick and a way with women. That blunt appraisal comes as a shock. I can't believe you're debunking him, to Henry Burke, a pallid young man who is writing Oscar's biography. Henry is in for another kind of shock as well. Just as Oscar reigned over 2 separate households, he now has rival biographers competing for his story. Henry meets his nemesis in Ralph Washington, a black, more cerebral writer who struggles to keep his critical theories in check while he asks questions. Ralph would have written an intellectual Oscar Feldman treatise had his publisher not convinced him that a biography was the way to go. Though the women in Oscar's life are anything but amicable at the start of The Great Man, the book follows them through a nice little volley of overdue spats and tantrums, as Teddy puts it. And Ms. Christensen does a funny, astute job of pulling the wool from their eyes. In a lesser novel, these plot developments could easily occur in mechanical, sitcom fashion, but The Great Man is as unexpectedly generous as it is entertaining. Instead of milking the old feuds, it allows them to dissipate. Its real emphasis is not on Oscar's legacy but on the ways in which these women escape his shadow. The most formidable of the Feldman women is Maxine, Oscar's 84-year-old sister, who is remembered as Cranky Pants by one childhood acquaintance. Maxine is an unabashed gorgon and easily the book's most compelling figure. She too is an artist with a challenging style. Apparently Maxine's paintings were intended to punish the viewer for failing to see what they were about, and a sharp tongue to go with it. When Henry brings his pesky baby along on an interview with Maxine, he says apologetically that Chester likes to be on the floor, for some reason. Maxine flatly replies that this bodes well for his future. Teddy, who is a decade younger, has always taken a catty view of Maxine. Not an artist at all. A politician, second rate. Like a state representative. For her part, Maxine has refused to meet Teddy and Oscar's 2 daughters and kept a curmudgeonly distance from her brother's life and work. But the approach of the biographers alarms her, and she winds up behaving so defensively that all the women in the story are unexpectedly drawn closer. They must conspire to hide Maxine's art-related secret, one that is perfectly conceived for the author's narrative purposes. Among Ms. Christensen's works, The Great Man is a gentler book than The Epicure's Lament. Her others are Jeremy Thrain and In the Drink. It's also a wise and expansive one, and it allows its characters to flourish in unexpectedly rewarding ways. The biographers eventually move beyond cutthroat comedy, although Henry does offer Maxine $5 if she doesn't tell Ralph about some rare Feldman photographs. Abigail, the doormat wife who made it possible for Oscar to sneer at the abstract expressionists from his comfortable perch on Riverside Drive, begins to blossom. Oscar's daughters come to terms with the way they were always shunted aside when their father visited so that Teddy could continue to drive him wild. And Oscar's legacy manifests itself in unexpected ways when various characters begin to exhibit Oscar-like behavior. Ms. Christensen is a witty observer of the art universe that her characters inhabit. She plants Maxine at a dinner party where the vegetal consommé with tiny bits of green, algae probably, floating on top, makes her think that this was the kind of food invalids were given when they were almost dead, either to bring them back from the brink or to sustain them on their journey to the underworld. She also conveys how Maxine is gruff about artists whose reputations are inflated, yet easily susceptible to flattery about her own. All it takes for Henry to maneuver his way onto her good side are an "I love your work" and a comparison to Franz Klein. Ms. Christensen bookends The Great Man with pungent if slightly tone-deaf parodies of articles from the New York Times. Both are deliberately off-base. The obituary is obtuse, and it is either unwilling or unable to acknowledge Oscar's family with Teddy. Its companion piece is a double-book review that lumps the 2 biographies together and makes distinctions even more black and white than the real racial difference between Henry and Ralph. Wherever Ms. Christensen's sympathies lie, they warm and enliven The Great Man. And they are well beyond the limitations of such glib judgments. Thanks for watching.